Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. Pro Wrestling Logic, where we've got over 1,700 audios available for your listening pleasure on a variety of old school, new school, and current day wrestling products. Certainly interested in that. This is the 2nd of December edition of uh, All Star Wrestling, and this is hosted, of course, by Vince McMahon and Bruno Sammartino, featuring McMahon interviewing Dino Bravo at ringside, including an Ernie Ladd versus Francisco Flores match from 75 Championship Wrestling show. So, I mean, they're certainly getting a guy like uh, a guy like a um, run of Bruno Sammartino certainly here. And again, we get run through things there, and the opening contest is a tag team match here. Tag teams are more important in the 70s than they are to McMahon in the last 2 decades at least, if not longer. That's easy to see. So Moose Monroe and Barry McKell Secluded defeating S.D. Jones and Dave Darrow 902 when Cicluna pinned Darrow with a knee drop to the chest. Again, we see S.D. Jones kind of going down the card a little bit. Jones had been winning in singles competition and then gets taken to the side here. Not that that's good or bad. Cicluna, though, managing to keep the partner of Jones in the ring, as does Monroe. Monroe and Cicluna do seem to team more regularly here. When S.D. Jones comes in with Cicluna, he gets a bit of an advantage. However, Cicluna uses cheating tactics. Monroe comes back in, tries to choke the man out, gets an advantage wherever he can, and ultimately manages to do everything he possibly can, kicking and getting at him, and ultimately rolling things around there, trying to get a hard shot along the way. And shots by Monroe, keeping the man in front face locks and basic maneuvers here. Doesn't get all he wants to do, but manages to get everything he possibly can, and eventually they get the victory, they being Cicluna and Monroe in quick order. Then we go to another match, this time a more heelish approach to things, as Ivan Koloff with Captain Lou Albano defeating Steve King with a knee drop off the top. Knee drop to the chest won the first match. Knee drop off the top wins the second. And obviously Ivan Koloff, as a former world champion, gets the grace of being able to do whatever he wants to do. But I wonder if knee drop to knee drop was a big deal here in 1978, almost 79, or whether that wasn't even considered. Steve King is the opponent for Koloff. I believe they have wrestled before. Koloff dominant, obviously, over King in this match, and I would expect him to have been in every other. Koloff leans the man back, punches him over the top, and ultimately gets a run and a go around there, and ultimately lots of kicks and hip toss out of the corner. Koloff managing to dominate his adversary to the best of his ability and take him to task, quite literally. Punch, kick, very basic things, and doesn't get all he wants out of it, but gets enough. And Koloff eventually gets the victory. Dino Bravo manages to get some basic talking to here. He talks about wanting to be more aggressive, wanting to be the best fighter he can be in 1979 going forward. And Vince McMahon obviously supports this as we go forward into the midpoint of the program. Then we go to the next match on the docket, which happens to be Peter Maivia with Fred Blassie defeating Mike Palderas. 5:15 with a headbutt. Seems to be from another area of the country, as or at least kind of an older bit of footage. Anyway, actually, this is the Ernie Ladd match, so it's out of sequence. But Ernie Ladd comes in from 1975-76 we talked about earlier. Ladd takes the man up and over, and lots of hammerlocks, tries to, and does manage to lift the opponent off the ground quite a bit. Ladd manages to stay on the arm and shoulder pretty aggressively here, does not get everything he wants to get from the process, and Ladd manages to drop knees and keep things going. Then is the Peter Maivia match here with about 17 minutes left in the program. Maivia with Fred Blassie going about 5.25 minutes here. Maivia obviously full blown heel by this point, stalling during the match when he doesn't like what's happening, gouging at the man's eyes and trying to take advantage of every possible advantage he can get. Blassie outside in a navy blue suit and certainly very happy with his run there. You know, ultimately, headbutts and basic things around the way, and ultimately, that is a victory for Mr. Maivia, and we will come back in two shakes of a lamb's tail with more action. And again, the idea behind the match, simply, in simplest form, is the benefit of Ladd looking as strong as he can. Then we go to another match here with Crazy Luke Graham. Crazy Luke Graham is the right person for this position. Of course, Bob Backlund, Luke Graham is an interesting match, non-title match. Backlund winning with the atomic drop, as he often does, 7 minutes 49 seconds. I'm not necessarily sure that having Graham, who might be leaving the territory, at least I would think, after losing decisively to Backlund on TV. Usually when you've lost the champion on TV, your run has come to a close in the 70s and 60s and 70s anyway. Backlund with knees and elbows and other stuff to the top of the head. Grand Wizard trying to console his man as best he can. Doesn't get everything he wants in terms of consoling him. Backlund does get some good wrestle around time and gets everything he possibly can going in a positive direction, and ultimately things are there with a single leg takedown. Backlund tries to get things going in his general direction and cinches up on the man pretty aggressively, assertively. Anyway, Backlund comes up from underneath and eventually, as mentioned, some punches from underneath. The size difference is enough to give at times Graham the look that he could be successful, but it never obviously happens. Backlund does get the atomic drop and closes the program with an interview basically thanking all the fans for their continued support, and we'll be back with more right after this.